I am 110 years old. The mountains gave me strong legs, a peaceful mind, and a happy life.
Today, we embark on a journey to a place so remote that helicopters arrived here long before the first road did. Imagine crossing mountain after mountain, inching your way through dense forests, waiting impatiently for landslides to clear the only path forward. After days of this relentless travel, what would you expect to find? A forgotten, struggling settlement, or a valley brimming with life in the heart of the Himalayas? This is Mechuka, one of India's most isolated valleys, hidden behind lush green mountains with snow-capped Himalayan peaks rising beyond their embrace.
In Machuka, nature is beautiful, but survival is earned every single day.
Until 2005, no road reached this valley. For generations, the only reliable way in or out was by helicopter or by crossing rugged mountain trails that tested the endurance of even the hardiest travelers. By every logical measure, a place this cut off should have struggled to survive. Yet when you arrive, what you see is something quite the opposite. Children walk to school every morning, unfazed by the imposing mountains that surround them. Farmers tend fertile fields that stretch across the valley floor, their hands working the soil much like their ancestors did centuries ago. Simple, neatly built homes stand quietly in the valley, connected by well-worn footpaths and dirt trails, not paved roads. Life here moves at its own pace, steady, resilient, and deeply rooted. You can't help but ask yourself, how can a place this isolated feel so alive? Most communities cut off from the outside world slowly fade away over time. But Machuka followed a different path. Here, isolation didn't stop progress. It shaped it. It protected centuries-old traditions and nurtured a way of life unlike anywhere else in the Himalayas.
This is Mechuka. To understand why this hidden valley is so extraordinary, we have to begin with the journey that kept it beyond the reach of the modern world for generations.
You can experience, trekking trails. You name the adventure sports, we can host it here in Mechuka.
The first thing that surprises you about Machuka isn't just its remoteness. It's the way it opens up before you. After hours of winding along treacherous mountain paths, carved into cliffsides, you expect another tiny village, wedged precariously between steep slopes. Instead, suddenly, the mountains fall away, revealing a vast green valley cradled by towering peaks on all sides. For a moment, the scene feels surreal. Dense, forested mountains rise like giant walls.
ये खेत से साल भर हम लोग बाहर से खरीदना करके खाता है यहाँ से.
While snow-capped summits stand silently behind them, watching, guarding, timeless. It's hard to believe you've just crossed one of the most challenging routes in the Eastern Himalayas. Then your gaze shifts from the landscape to the valley floor itself. Unlike the jagged terrain surrounding it, here you see simple homes spread out with space to breathe, connected by well-trodden paths and narrow dirt trails. There are no bustling markets or large buildings, just the quiet rhythm of a small community living closely with nature.
60 होने वाला है. 58 years.
Children dressed in crisp school uniforms pass by, their laughter and chatter filling the quiet air. For them, Mechuka isn't one of India's most isolated valleys. It's simply home. Nearby, farmers work the fields their families have tended for generations, planting and harvesting in harmony with the seasons. Nothing feels rushed. Nothing feels out of place. This place, so long beyond the reach of modern roads, feels remarkably settled. But beneath this peaceful scene hides a deeper story. Every home, every field, every footpath exists because generations of people learned to build a stable life long before the outside world could easily reach them. To understand that resilience, we first need to understand the land that made it possible. Standing in the heart of Mechuka, it's easy to see why people chose to settle here centuries ago. While much of the Himalayas is defined by steep slopes and narrow mountain ridges, this valley offers something truly rare, a broad, fertile plain shaped by the waters of the Siom River. This river changed everything. It enriched the valley floor with rich, fertile soil, making it possible to grow crops in a region where much of the surrounding landscape is rocky and inhospitable. Fields of rice, maize, millet, buckwheat, and seasonal vegetables became more than just food. They became the foundation of life itself. In many Himalayan villages, families carve terraces into jagged hillsides just to grow enough to survive. But Machuka's valley floor offered a different possibility. Here, the land worked with its people. The river brought water. The fertile soil offered stability. The open valley gave space to build homes and plant orchards. Slowly, families established villages that could endure through time. Yet the same towering mountains that nurtured this settlement also concealed it. For generations, almost everything people needed came from within these mountains. The outside world remained distant, but life, however, continued.
The longer you stay in Machuka, the more you notice something the landscape alone can't explain. The people here move to a different rhythm. There is no rush to outrun the day. As the morning unfolds, farmers make their way to the fields. Children, dressed in neat uniforms, walk together along quiet dirt paths, their laughter blending with the mountain air. Elders sit outside their homes, exchanging stories and watching another ordinary morning unfurl. At first glance, it feels like any peaceful mountain town. But life here has always demanded patience. Every season requires preparation. Every harvest depends on timing. Every winter reminds people how closely their lives remain tied to nature. Over time, families learned to depend on one another just as much as they depended on the land itself. Neighbors weren't just people living nearby. They were the ones who helped rebuild homes after storms, gathered together before changing weather to bring in the harvest, and stood side by side through festivals and hardships. In Machuka, survival was never an individual achievement. It was something shared. That quiet sense of community still shapes everyday life, not through grand monuments or bustling markets, but through ordinary moments visitors might easily overlook. And nowhere is the relationship between people and nature more visible than along the river that quietly sustains this valley. Running through the heart of Machuka flows the Yargyap Chu, known downstream as the Siom River. It begins high on the Tibetan plateau before winding through this remarkable valley. At first glance, it seems like just another Himalayan river, clear, fast, endlessly flowing. But for the people of Machuka, it has always been far more than that. Long before the first road reached the valley, this river sustained communities settled along its banks. Its waters nourished fertile fields. Its floodplain provided the land on which villages could grow. Even today, daily life continues to revolve around it. Farmers cultivate fields it has nourished for generations. Visitors pause quietly to admire its beauty. For local families, it remains a familiar companion through every season of life. In many ways, the story of Machuka cannot be separated from the story of this river. Without it, this valley might never have become home. And while the river made life possible, the mountains ensured that way of life remained hidden for centuries. That isolation shaped not only how people lived, but who they became. Today, you might wonder, why would anyone choose to build a home in a valley hidden behind some of the highest mountains in the Eastern Himalayas? For generations, reaching this place meant crossing rugged mountain passes, dense forests, and rivers that changed with the seasons. There were no roads, no easy routes, no shortcuts. Until 2005, helicopters often provided the only dependable connection to the outside world. Yet, people came. They crossed those mountains, knowing the journey would never be easy. And once they arrived, many discovered something worth staying for. Fertile land, fresh water, open space to build lasting communities. Everything a family needed to begin a new life. Over time, people learned to live with the mountains instead of fighting against them. They understood the seasons. They knew when to sow their crops and when to prepare for the long months ahead. This knowledge wasn't written in books. It lived in everyday life. Parents passed it to their children. Grandparents shared it around the family hearth. Little by little, a unique culture took root here, shaped by isolation, but never defined by it. Even today, those traditions continue to guide life in Machuka. And nowhere are they preserved more deeply than inside one of the oldest monasteries in the Eastern Himalayas. In Mechuka, the day begins long before the valley fully awakens. As the first light touches the surrounding peaks, thin trails of smoke rise from village homes. Quiet paths slowly come to life. This isn't a place ruled by clocks. It's a place that still moves with the land. Farmers make their way to the fields, knowing every growing season is precious in the mountains. Others tend to livestock that have supported families for generations. There is no urgency, no constant noise, only a rhythm shaped by seasons rather than schedules. Children walk to school, greeting neighbors who have watched them grow since childhood. Elders gather outside their homes, sharing stories, discussing the weather, and watching another ordinary morning unfold. It is a life built on familiarity. People know one another, families know the land, and everyone understands that no one truly lives here alone. Nature has never allowed that. In Machuka, survival has always been shared. That quiet sense of togetherness continues to shape daily life today. Yet this community is held together by more than shared work and shared landscapes. For centuries, faith has offered something equally important, a shared identity. And that story begins inside a monastery that has watched over the valley for hundreds of years. By now, it's easy to understand why Mechuka is often called one of the most beautiful valleys in the Eastern Himalayas. But beauty alone doesn't explain this place. It doesn't explain how a community built a thriving life in a region that remained cut off from the outside world until 2005. It doesn't explain why traditions still shape everyday life, or why, even as roads, visitors, and modern conveniences arrive, Machuka continues to hold on to its identity. Because the real story isn't written in the mountains or the river. It's written in the lives of the people who transformed isolation into belonging. To understand that story, we have to step back in time. Long before visitors discovered Machuka, long before the first road wound through these mountains, its people had already built a civilization that quietly endured beyond the world's attention. Machuka's story didn't start with roads or helicopters. It began centuries ago, with small communities settling in this fertile mountain basin. They learned to read the mountains, understand the seasons, and make every resource count. Isolation demanded self-reliance, but also deepened family bonds. Knowledge passed naturally through daily life, in homes, fields, festivals, and neighbors helping one another. Over time, Machuka became home to the Memba people, whose language and traditions reflect centuries of mountain culture. Yet, culture alone wasn't enough. A faith giving strength, purpose, and belonging still endures high above the valley. Its proximity to the Tibet border brought strategic importance, a permanent Indian army presence, and new infrastructure. Local families found new possibilities. Children dreamed beyond the valley. Farmers reached wider markets, and travel lost its uncertainty. Yet, every new road poses a question. How do you embrace the future without losing your past? Machuka's challenge is not just survival, but preserving a way of life the mountains have quietly protected for centuries. Machuka's wide valley and lush green mountains welcome you, but its true story lies in its people, generation after generation, turning isolation into home. They nurtured the land, preserved timeless traditions, and built a life that endures. Though connected by road today, Machuka's greatest strength remains the quiet resilience of its people. In a world rushing forward, it teaches us that progress isn't always speed. It's holding on to what truly matters. This valley leaves a lasting impression, not because it escaped the modern world, but because it never lost its soul. What does Machuka teach us about resilience, tradition, and progress? In a world of constant change, is holding on to what matters the greatest journey of all? Thank you for joining me on this journey to Machuka, the valley where isolation became strength and life quietly thrives against all odds. If you want more stories like this, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Have you visited a place that felt like stepping back in time? Share your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Until next time, keep exploring, keep wondering.